I appreciate the thought, the effort in there to put minorities, women, all kind of people that need representation. I appreciate them putting them front and center, but it seems like there was more of a mission to do that than really write a good story for these characters. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem when you try to write for an agenda as opposed to write for a story, right?
Wow, you put it perfectly, man. A big birthday gift for me, my birthday's next month. A big birthday gift for me is if you came out to see the 1-year anniversary of me doing sit-down comedy at the Broadway Comedy Club. Going to be back in the Red Room September 27th. Oz will join me later as we just sit down and just lollygag with the audience. And then we're going to have all of you up for open mic. And that show, again, is going to be 9 p.m. at the Broadway Comedy Club. That's a Friday. Get your tickets now by going over to BroadwayComedyClub.com. So today is a very sad day for a lot of people out there. I feel for these people. Today, a lot of people they found out the hard way that they are not going to get a chance to continue to hate on something anymore. Oh, what am I going to sit up here and be angry, complain about now? Disney been killing Jedi and everything else in Star Wars. But specifically, there will not be a season 2 of The Acolyte. Oh, I know y'all are surprised. Oh my God, I thought we were gonna get 10 seasons out this show. Actually,
word.
Yeah, man, there was so much more story to tell. Listen, people, I am not a hater, but I did not like this show very much. And I did not want to be one of those people because a lot of the people were hating on this show not because of the quality. Let's be fair. Let's go ahead and call it for what it is, because everybody was talking about that woke shit. Before the show was on, people were already hating. They did not like that there was not only women leading the show, but women of color. Men were up in here. There were Asians up in here. Oh my God, I'm looking. Oh man, not a nice white spot to be found. Not a nice white male around here to be found anywhere. And the one that they did have in there, even I got to get the back of the white dudes out there. He was a bitch. he went out like a bitch, man. So, oh, this poison? Okay.
That was in the character description. Had to be a bitch.
You a bitch. You a Jedi bitch. That's your power. Be stupid. But yeah, man, I did not want to come in because I kind of wanted to defend, but I got to tell you, I did not like the show, man. And I am not surprised that the show got canceled. It was just so much dislike for this show. There was just now when it premiered strong. And I got the article right here. This is from Deadline. Deadline, of course, a few other places report that The Acolyte canceled no season 2 for Disney Plus's Star Wars series. The story of The Acolyte will not continue, with Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with the second season of the Star Wars offshoot starring Amandla Stenberg, sources tell Deadline. Where the decision comes more than a month after the 8-episode first season of the series from creator, director, executive producer, and showrunner Leslie Headland wrapped its run on Disney+. And here's how the show did, as I get to this paragraph right here. Driven by interest into the venerable franchise, The Acolyte got up to a strong start when it launched June 4th, with 2 episodes generating 4.8 million views and its first day on the streamer to rank as the biggest series premiere on Disney Plus this year. The tally rose to 11 million views globally after 5 days of streaming. Corroborating Disney's data, the series made its debut on Nielsen's top 10 originals chart. But The Acolyte could not sustain the momentum. And I can tell you, I can see why, because as you watch the show, it has a strong trailer where they showed you a lot of Jedi action here. And promises of showing you how the Sith got started. And they had a great concept, kind of playing with the morality of the Jedi themselves. Apparently the Jedi held some dark secrets that we didn't know for years. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. But man, I got to tell you, I could see why, because as it went on, I think it had a pretty decent start. But yeah, by the time they got to like the third or fourth episodes in there, it was even the best episodes later. It was just more Jedi fighting and, lightsaber play. It was not any real strong characters or story in there, I don't think.
Got you. Yeah, I saw one episode, and that was because I had nothing else to watch at the time. I said, let me watch this. I fell asleep on it, man. Yeah, man. I fell asleep on it, man.
I hate to say this, but Star Wars has been suffering under corporate direction and corporate pushback and all this kind of stuff in a lot of ways. And you will hardly ever hear me say this because I'm not a woke person, all right? No, I am woke, okay? I embrace being woke. I don't give a what I say. I don't even know what the word means as I say it. I embrace being woke because it's a good thing. Woke. Everybody should be woke about something. Hell, when conservative right-wing people talk about my eyes are open to the government. By the way, that was very rude. That was stereotyping. I should have said it like that. they all got teeth missing. My eyes are open toward the government. Y'all don't all talk like that. I'm sorry, but you know how people say, I don't trust the government. Hey, you being kind of woke too. You keeping your eyes open to see what's happening. You trying not to sleep on things that you think that people might creep on you about. But I gotta tell you, man, it seems like, and I appreciate the effort, but it does seem like Disney's putting a lot of energy and effort into the wrong things. With the Acolyte, I appreciate the thought, the effort in there to put minorities, women, all kind of people that need representation. I appreciate them putting them front and center, but it seems like there was more of a mission to do that than really write a good story for these characters. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem when you try to write for an agenda as opposed to write for a story, right?
Wow, you put it perfectly, man.
Yeah, you got these characters here, and you're like, you know what? They're gay. Instead of just having them, act like regular people, you got to say, hey, they're gay. Let's show them being gay. Let's show them this. Let's show this. Like, no, you just don't need to do that. That is what who they are. That's not what they do all the time. They're regular people as well. And from what I saw, and the clips that I saw a lot of writing heading that way of just trying to, drive the point home of who these people are as opposed to their character.
Yeah, you hurt the effort, and you hurt those those attempts even more when you don't concentrate on story. And you don't concentrate on character. That's what Star Wars has been missing. And I'm not just blaming Star Wars. There's a lot of, I just got through watching Alien Romulus, and they're doing the same things that a lot of people are messing up on. They're putting other things forward instead of story and character. But Star Wars has been lagging and suffering for so long with these Disney Plus shows, especially these movies. And the reason why is because everything is put front and center except for the story and the characters. For the Acolyte, it was them trying to, again, put diversity in there. But you have to write stories for diversity. If you don't put it in there, it's just, it's an empty effort. And people are going to criticize that even more because it's going to be very transparent what you were doing. Now, here's something that's interesting. Another thing that Disney has been doing since they've had Star Wars, and I've been saying this all along, is putting the fan service and the Easter eggs and the nostalgia. They've been putting a lot of energy into that, and that is really bad. And what we're seeing now is that all these legacy characters that they were trying to just actually milk for so many years, you are ruining them. Right now, there was just an admittance from the guy that played Boba Fett. He's like, they all up. You ain't gonna see me no more. He's like, man, they had a good thing. They up. You're not gonna see me no more, man. You are not going to get a season 2 of this.
Thank God.
Even he like, God damn, boy, y'all messed this up. He like, how did y'all mess this up? Boba Fett.
Easy. They messed this up easy. Yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
No, please.
No, because again, we talked about when this show was on the air. I never understood the fandom for Boba Fett. Okay, I guess he had a cool helmet on, I guess. And maybe what was written in books after Return of the Jedi. or after Return of the Jedi, or after when he come in, Empire Strikes Back, maybe that shit was cool. But if somebody who just watched the movie, again, it was just some dude in a suit who got hit and fell in the pit. He wasn't this badass person that everybody says he was. And now there was this. Now Disney put out that show. Say I'm like, okay, let me see this badass person that everybody's talking about. And what I got was an old dude, petting monsters, giving people second chances,
sleeping in bathtubs and shit all night.
Yeah, supposed to be ruthless and toothless with people, but he's giving people second chances and shit. I'm like, this is your king. This is your king that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this was just a bad representation of what people were hoping that he was supposed to be.
Again, corporate interference was so messed up. And now this just came out. They're saying, Boba Fett is they feel like Boba Fett is done. We tried, we failed, we cannot do anything with this anymore. The thing with Boba Fett is that everything that I just said was wrong is very much exemplified in the character of Boba Fett. So Boba Fett, they brought him back because of nostalgia and fandom. But that's the first corporate bad decision. Now, the second corporate bad decision is they had to actually make him have mainstream appeal. And they were scared to actually make him the ruthless character that he was. So they had to tone him down and find a way to actually make him a hero, which not a hero, okay? He's not. He's not. All right. He's a ruthless bounty hunter. But to make a whole series because y'all wanted to milk nostalgia, fandom, to bring him back and make a whole show out of him, they were too scared to do a show about a villain. They were too scared to do a whole show that stayed in this character and was ruthless and was somewhat. Boba Fett should have been somewhat like that, not exactly like this character, but he should have been something like the Punisher in a way, where what's that?
I believe he should have stayed where he was, right? In the Mandalorian, he should have been a part of that Mandalorian crew, right? Being the seasoned bounty hunter or whatever type of person, trying to be like, I've done this before and I was good at this. You may not want to go down this path. That kind of reform type of reformed badass, you know what I mean? And at drop of a dime, he can do what he got to do, but for the most part, he's trying to reform himself. Stay in that lane, be like a mentor type of thing, because that's what he was doing when he first appeared in The Mandalorian. He was kind of that type of character. That kind of felt right for him, you know what I mean? Because he was older, he's seen a lot of shit, and it's like, you know what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt pull him out and try to do that. It didn't work out for me.
I felt like they shouldn't even. You shouldn't even done a show with him.
Oh, standalone, definitely.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do something with him, I felt like you should have kept them. Maybe not even take the mask off. We shouldn't even seen who this character is most of the time.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's another thing with corporate stuff. They got to try to sell it with a face. They got to try to sell it with a star. They got to humanize it. Boba Fett, the reason why he's badass is because you couldn't see who he was. When Star Wars, the prequels came out, then they brought him in with the clones and everything, and they tried to expand the story. So now they have this guy that they have to come in and actually put a face to because they did it in those movies. But this character should have been somewhat, not even an anti-hero. He should have been a ruthless bounty hunter who was off on his own. He should have been that cowboy similar to Clint Eastwood, man with no name, except a lot more ruthless. He should have been somebody that was out there self-serving. And the only time he helped somebody, if you really wanted to make a show about him, he should have been a guy who was going through episodes, maybe helping people, but he only did it because he was looking out for himself. If you want to show him having some humanity or some kind of emotion, maybe every now and then show a shred of it. Like he helped a kid or something. He couldn't let somebody die because he did have morals. But that's the way the characters were set up and was made him so badass.
Well, you're almost describing, correct me if I'm wrong, almost like the from that show, the Amazon show Fallout, the Ghoul.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's what as you're saying, that's what's kind of like what the Ghoul was kind of like. He was ruthless, but he did what he had to do for an end, a means to an end. But he did have kind of a softish side at times.
Yeah, because listen, when they introduced this guy years before he was years before Return of the Jedi. and I've showed y'all this before. I'm gonna show you again. They introduced him in the funny enough, the Star Wars Christmas special.
You saved my life. Thank you.
Maybe I can help you.
Now, the cool thing about this is that if you know Boba Fett, you know Boba Fett is not there to really help. Boba Fett is only there to help because there's some personal gain for him.
Cool.
I am Boba Fett. The ship you seek is nearby.
How far away?
Settle down.
Bitch.
Damn.
He's abusing his own pet creature that he's riding.
Who is eat?
This is all we have, but he's welcome to it.
You are foolish to waste your kindness on this dumb creature. No lower life form is worth going hungry for, friend.
Now that's Boba Fett right there. Boba Fett doesn't care about anything. He doesn't if it's something that doesn't give him personal gain, or if he feels like it's lower than him, he doesn't care. He's all about himself. But the point of this is that, the reason why I'm bringing this up and describing a character like Boba Fett is just one example of Disney not really getting their characters, not sticking true to the nature of those characters. Most of the things that they do now are because they think it's what the fans want, and then they just kind of rush stories out about these characters. They don't really develop them anymore. They don't really put any real stories for these characters to do, hence the movies. All this stuff is thrown together to make, to collect some money real quick. That's the corporate that is the corporate interference that's ruining this. And the reason why I brought up Boba Fett again right now is because that's the character that they have been desperately trying to do something with for a long time, and they've messed it up so much because their priorities were wrong, except for the case of money, that now they feel like they can't even really do anything with that character anymore. And if you ask me, that's kind of a waste because there was potential with that character. Now, maybe the character could come back and do some things in, small bit parts again. But even then, we have to think about the legacy that they've already created. And it's not a very good one, if you ask me. It's kind of very messy. And we don't even think about this character the same way anymore. Now that we see this, that show that sucks so much.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because they're burning through a lot of their characters. They're burning them, especially a lot of legacy characters that was near and dear to everybody's heart. They're burning all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got Luke throwing away a lightsaber. You got Princess Leia flying in space. You got you're killing off Han Solo, even though he wanted to get going. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're burning these characters.
Yeah. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah. The one that just came out not too long ago. I'm sure that they had planned probably some more adventures of younger Obi-Wan Kenobi if this was going to take off. But again, I think this was so misguided that now, we can't even do anything else with Obi-Wan, really. That's muddled now.
No, because what they did was they saw how Mandalorian was good, him having missions with this little thing. You know what, let's do this, but let's just have Obi-Wan with this little girl now.
Yeah,
she'll be the baby Yoda.
Yeah, they should. They put young Princess Leia in there for no reason other than Mandalorian worked with Grogu or Goku, whatever his name is. So Obi-Wan needs a little needs a young character or some child character for the younger people to connect to. And so they missed the point. Yeah, they missed the point. It's supposed to be about this continuing struggle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they didn't do that. They distracted it with this, this little girl. Again, corporate interference. They are, now all these shows that they're doing, they are ruining these characters. You were ruining the chance for diversity, and you were ruining the chance to really do something with these characters that people, that they love. And the news of Boba Fett is one of those things, and also the cancellation of the Acolyte. These things haven't, been mentioned very close to each other. These are prime examples of where Disney got taken these huge missteps, and it's sad. It's very sad. Nobody's sad about the Acolyte being gone. The only sad that we had something that we could have made something with, and end up being another thing that just wasn't that good. Ah, man.
Yeah. I mean, my taste for Star Wars is long gone. I mean, the closest thing that came back to it was The Mandalorian, and even then, I think it went on too long as a series anyway. Now they got a movie coming out, The Mandalorian and Grogu, whatever it is. I'm not going to go see it. You know what I mean? The only way I would get back into Star Wars, because they doing that, what was it? Daisy Ridley is her name? Yeah, they have another trilogy, I think, coming out with her maybe. and I've heard that she's trying to get Boyega to come back. Now we've all know he expressed how angry he was with that first time. If he comes back, maybe I'll give it a shot, because for him to come back after the shit he was talking, something good has to come out of it, I believe. So that's the only reason I would give it another chance, if they actually do get him back.
That's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because when you put corporate greed or corporate need in front of diversity, your diversity attempts seem disingenuous. You know, John Boyega came in and talked about how upset he was with the way they treated his character. You know, they just had, listen, he started out strong. Things seemed good with this character. And then he became no more than a diversity hire. That's all he was. You know what I mean? He became,
they played him.
Yeah, he became a diversity hire. He became something where it's almost like Disney was saying, all right, shut up. We got a black person in here. But they did nothing with that character, man. They they dropped the ball on that character. So all your diversity attempts seem hollow and fake and false when you pull stuff like that. So, I don't know, man.
For all this diversity stuff, they sure pushed him to the sideline real quick.
It should have did. Hey, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I maintain John Boyega should have been the main character of the trilogy. A whole last...
Man, can you imagine a stormtrooper who's all of a sudden realizing that, that I've been used, I'm just another cog in the machine. He starts to have free thought.
I thought that's what they were gonna do with him, to have like a whole deprogramming storyline with him, and then they're like, no, that. Again,
they had to rush this stuff out, write these stories quick, and put something out there to make that money. That's Disney, until you stop up and stop thinking about. I understand the mouse got to make that money. It's a corporation. You don't make billions for nothing. I get it. But you have got to at some point start giving a shit just a little bit about character and story. Bring somebody in who, if you can't do it, bring somebody who's passionate about it to come in and guide this. Because right now, you just digging in the trash, finding all these characters, and once they're used, throwing them right back in the trash. It's ridiculous, man. I never thought I'd see the day I saw somebody Star Wars more than George Lucas.
That's it. I mean, you got to remember, man, the people who are in power in the suits who were there making these decisions are the ones that kind of grew up with this. So they got their own ideas of how they think their Star Wars should be. And now they're in a position to make the Star Wars they always wanted. Right?
Yeah.
And it's some bullshit right now. So we got to wait for these crop people to get up out of here.
I've never been this person that thought that my Star Wars should be what I think it is. My Star Wars. It should be what I grew up with. I don't care about that. Just make it good. Make good stories. I'm not complaining because it's not mine. I'd still maintain that those prequels are not well written. But hey, if you love them, I'm not going to say anything. But I just want people to write good stories. That's all. If anything, I don't want my Star Wars. That's old. You can't move on hanging on to that, which is why I hate nostalgia and fandom. You cannot move on when you're hanging on to the past so much and milking it for what it's worth. Please don't make my Star Wars. Make another Star Wars. Just make it good. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, but you're in for some shit when you got, people wearing, the Force is female, and you got writers talking about we're here to make you feel uncomfortable on purpose. You're kind of screwed at that point. You know what I mean? When people are coming out the woodwork just doing those things in your face. How could it be good when you're going towards, your own agenda or whatever it may be? It's like, why can't it just be, a little bit of everything? I don't know. And you're just so forceful.
Oh yeah, no pun intended, right? But and it's funny because I see them actually, they're trying so hard in all these areas, except for, like I said, the area where it matters, some good scripts and stories and whatnot, character development. Because when they messed up with John Boyega, when they realized that they actually dropped the ball with diversity there, and that they were full of shit talking about how they were really They were really concerned about putting forth, diversity and people of color and giving them a stage. When that didn't work and they got criticized for that, they went the opposite way, and that's when you ended up with something like the ACOLYTE. So they just stop trying so hard. Stop trying so hard to, please fans. Stop trying so hard to even please diversity people. Just keep those things in mind, but just make something good. When you get a really solid story in place, then we got something to build from. But if you ain't got no foundation, the shit is gonna collapse. It's basic architecture. Come on, y'all.
That's true. It's funny how you can see passion in certain films that that somebody really went out their way to create something that was, near and dear to them that they wanted to make fantastic. You know what I mean? And then you could turn around and see when people just didn't really care, just wanted to shit some stuff out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That first Star Wars, you could tell that he wanted to tell a compelling story. That first trilogy, he wanted to tell something good. And then you got to these prequels, like, I just want to, I want to come back here and play around again.
Yeah.
There was no connective tissue to anything. There was no I see what you're trying to do here. You know what I mean? And the last trilogy, forget about it. It was just so disjointed. 3 different people working on it. Everybody had their own agenda in each film. Setting somebody up for one film, and the other person, I'm going this way. Just try to come back this way. It was a mess trying to follow that stuff. And you saw it on the screen, the conflict on the screen of the studio. You saw the conflict on the screen of the studio.
Yeah, they
trying to tell you so many different messages in one thing. It's like, wow, this is terrible.
This is what happens when you make stories by committee instead of with heart. Instead of real creative effort. But anyway, what do you say?
Right.
I was just going to say, to your point, I think that's, for me, why the Star Wars Visions anthology stands out so much, is because it's just a bunch of animation studios taking that world and being like, we're going to go balls to the wall with this IP and do their own thing.
Oh, the Visions anthology? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that actually, I haven't seen it, but I've always liked when you've given different artists just their creative freedom to just interpret different Star Wars stories, and that's when your man was doing Clone Wars, the 2D animated one. What was his name? What is his name?
Genndy Tartakovsky.
Tartakovsky. Yeah. But yes, Visions was something where it was just everybody just doing creative animated shorts, and I thought that was pretty cool. Or when they've actually made an effort to go in and not rely on the past so much. Andor, I think, is pretty cool. It's not perfect, I don't think, but it's actually pretty cool. So yeah. Anyway, y'all. Well, you made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like what we do. So if you do, check out these other videos just like this one. Check out our other YouTube channels and subscribe to join our wonderful Toasty community. And as always, stay toasty.